Well, I never hear anything. I'm consider looking for it, but nothing is looking at that. Just out of curiosity.
Thank you.
Ready? Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, this is the regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'll hand it over to Kelly for the roll call.
Okay. Commissioner McCauley?
Here.
Commissioner Deckman?
Here.
Commissioner Yousafzai?
Here.
Commissioner Blair?
Here.
Vice Chair Rowe?
Here.
Chair Lang?
Here.
And I just would like to note the absence of Commissioner Corman Super.
Okay, great. We can all stand for the salute to the flag. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, on to D, which is approve order of agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And onto the blue folder items, which
We have none this
we
evening.
have none.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the consent calendar.
We do have two items on the consent calendar, the affidavit of posting and then the approval of the October commission minutes. So we just need to entertain a motion to approve the balance unless any of those items want to be pulled for discussion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we don't have any excluded consent calendar items. So that puts us at H, which is public participation on non-agenda items.
We currently don't have anyone online and no e-comments.
Okay. And nobody in the audience? Okay. Then, do we have any items continued from previous agendas?
We do not.
Okay. And we have items for discussion prior to action. And so J1 is receive and file volunteer and employee acknowledgement certificate for Cindy Zerlip in recognition of her work to support the Dominguez Park Dog Park.
So thank you, Chair. I'll just do a really brief introduction and then we can present Cindy with her award. If the commission will remember, last year, the commission approved a volunteer and employee acknowledgement program, which calls for the nominations of anyone that serves in a volunteer capacity for the city that's somewhat associated with Parks and Recreation and the city's green spaces. We did receive 2 nominations in the past few months, and the commission did approve both of those nominations, which were recommended by the subcommittee. But the commission approved both of those on February 28th. And so here this evening, we do have one of the recipients, Cindy Zerlip, here. So we wanted to honor her for her service at the Dominguez Park Dog Park. The other awardee that was approved by the commission was unable to attend this evening. So we will try to get her scheduled on an upcoming meeting as soon as possible. So with that, I will turn it over to the chair. And we do have a certificate as well as the infamous surfboards that we have talked about a few times at the meetings.
Hi, Cindy. I'm just going to read it. And it says, "It is with sincere appreciation and gratitude that the Recreation and Parks Commission acknowledges Cindy Zerlip for her volunteer service to the city of Redondo Beach and her work with the Friends of the Redondo Beach Dog Park to ensure that the organization can provide critical support to the city for the ongoing care and maintenance of the Dominguez Park Dog Park." So wonderful. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you. I
your
appreciate
volunteer
this.
work for the city. We really
That's a
couldn't do
cool
it without
surfboard.
you. So
Thank you
you're
very,
welcome.
very much. I really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
that. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Stand, if you guys want to stand here, and then we can do one.
Yeah, let's do that.
And my dog Biscuit thanks you as well.
Okay.
Between you guys here.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I'm a tall person. There we go.
Here, hold her from here.
Get on the surfboard, dude.
There we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
I tried to get Gil to come. I thought Gil was gonna be here.
Good night.
I don't know, it's Gil. But he's why you're here.
I was-
As you know, he's why you're here.
Oh, it's him, okay.
It's
I don't know if it was me or if it was Judy,
Paul, you can blame him. I have his phone number if you wanna call him.
No, I've got it. I
I know you do, I know you do,
do.
on speed dial. Yeah, thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Cindy. Okay,
Where's Gil?
wonderful.
She seems happy, that's.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
you.
Okay, so on to, do we have to make a motion to do anything with J1?
Technically, we probably should do receive and file because that's what it's stated on the agenda. So if we can just receive and file the certificate, that'd be great.
Okay, can we have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so J2 is Commission Subcommittee Review and Project Update.
Okay, just a quick intro. This is the standard item that we have on every commission agenda, and it provides an opportunity for any active subcommittees to provide an update to the commission on any work that's been done since the last commission meeting. I'll just briefly go through the active subcommittees that we have, and then I'll turn it over to our commissioners to provide any updates. We have the Facility User Subcommittee, Park Ranger Subcommittee, the Volunteer Acknowledgement Program Subcommittee, and then our newest one is the Pickleball Subcommittee. So with that, I will turn it over to you all to provide any updates that you may have.
Okay,
I can speak for the facility user. There's been really no updates other than at Alta Vista Park, they did get the fencing for the smaller field, and the league finished building a shed right behind it. So if you get down there and check it out, it's really nice, right by the community garden at Alta Vista Park on the left. As far as the other league reports, everything seems to be going fine. They're going into their playoffs and kind of ending the baseball, softball seasons. They're getting close here in May. And I think June, they roll into All-Star season. And then I think in August is where soccer takes over. There's a transition there between the baseball and softball to soccer.
Are they still hosting the War on the Shore, the big
Yeah,
softball
they do.
tournament?
There's 2 tournaments coming up actually for Alta Vista. Well, Alta Vista Park has the War at the Shore for the girls softball. And then on Father's Day, they have a baseball tournament as well. So both of those are coming up pretty fast.
Great. Thank you. Pickleball?
Pickleball, yes. We had a kickoff meeting with Kelly last week for the subcommittee, and we talked about the current situation that we have, and while we're waiting for council to still make a decision on the Alta Vista shared use. So that item was pushed out till July now, so we're going to be waiting for that decision. And then we're also waiting for the upcoming budget discussions for the aviation park, where we were looking at building the dedicated courts there. So we're hoping that we'll get some funding to get that going, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. And then Kelly and her team are going to be working on pulling the data from Alta Vista, the usage data, so that we can look at that. And with the goal of, with Alta Vista, our goal is to pick hours and days where the tennis courts aren't being used and use those days and times for pickleball. So that will be our recommendation. I think right now there's a lot of concern from the community that pickleball is going to come in and take everything over, and that's not our goal at all. We just want to share and focus mostly on the times where the tennis courts aren't being used. And then we also talked about identifying the usage of the courts by the tennis pros. There's some concern by the community that the tennis pros are blocking off the courts all afternoon for lessons and not making it available for residents. And so Kelly said she's going to try and pull that data from the system as well so that we can see how the pros are using the courts. And then our long-term goal really is to develop a pickleball strategy for the city. So I think it's dependent upon these pending items that we have with Alta Vista and Aviation Park. But the goal would be to develop, a citywide strategy on what we want to do for pickleball going forward into the future. And Annika, did I miss anything?
No, I think the only thing I would add is that we want to really get insight from the community and both communities, the pickleball community and the tennis community, to understand where can we find kind of a happy medium and find some common ground here. So it's not a zero-sum game that we're trying to play. We're trying to play nice together, no pun intended, I guess, right? So that we can really just make it accessible for everybody, not just certain groups, so.
Was the Alta Vista, is it 2 courts that they were talking about for the city?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we need to clarify that too, because I think the idea was 2 courts that were dual striped, so that wasn't just converting 2 courts, it was dual striping
Yeah,
the 2
it would be
was our
dual.
initial recommendation, right? And just clarifying that and making sure that people understand that too, because I think there's, like lots of things in today's world, right? Lots of misinformation out there about what the conversation is.
And have you thought about how you want to reach the public for their opinion or their feedback?
Well, we did have a call with Desiree this week, actually. So she gave us her opinion from the public perspective, and that's, I think, what we wanted to ask Kelly too is it possible to reach out to some of the people that may be in opposition of the Alta Vista courts and perhaps have a call with them or reach out to see if they're interested in having a discussion with us?
I think what we probably could do is internally, we can kind of figure out if there's some key people that fit in some of those categories. We can reach out to them to see if they'd be interested in sharing their contact information with you, and then we can then share it. I hesitate to just immediately share it, so we can try to do our best to at least identify a few, and then maybe it can snowball from there to find more people to speak to.
Yeah. I think it would be great, and I'm really excited to talk with these folks because I don't have a dog in the fight, right? I'm not a pickleball player or a tennis ball player, or a tennis player, clearly. And so I think it would be, I'd love to hear kind of both sides and just get an understanding of where can we find a way forward together rather than contentious, right?
While you were talking, I was just thinking how interesting it is that, because Redondo, all these other cities, they've already had existing tennis courts that they've restriped, whereas Redondo is thinking of building an entirely new facility. So it just seems a little more difficult.
Well, some cities have converted to permanent courts, like El Segundo has permanent courts. Torrance is still sharing with paddle tennis, but Carson converted tennis courts into permanent pickleball courts, and San Pedro's getting ready to do a grand opening of theirs. So,
And I noticed there's quite a few private facilities too that have dedicated courts. And so it just seems tough to say like, hey, you got to go play in a private court and pay to play when you're a taxpayer like everybody else, right?
Anything else?
You worked on getting it approved for the 2020 Olympics yet, pickleball. Get on that.
It's actually
You got
pending.
4 years.
It's pending as a CIF sport.
it's not going to be approved for
So
It'll probably be on in 8 years.
it is something for us to
I
consider.
think, in 8 years.
Yeah, most likely, but
I
it's
think
something
so.
in front of CIF right now. So I think that we will see it move further
Interesting.
than what we know right
It
now.
has to be played in like a certain number of countries or something, right? It has to be played officially in like 60 countries to qualify.
Oh, for Olympics?
To make the minimum qualification to make,
I don't know about
something
that.
like that. Right. Interesting. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for your update. And the last subcommittee is the Park Ranger Subcommittee. Commissioner Youssef Zaid, would you like to? Or I can, so I can speak as well.
Sure. You can speak first, and I can speak after.
Oh, no, you go ahead then. I didn't know if you had anything to say, so I was trying to
No.
relieve pressure.
No, I think, again, the last I remember was we'd reached out to several staffing, like within the department. I think we had facilitated that earlier in the year. I'm not quite sure where we left off after that. I've been gone for 2 sessions now, but I think we are getting closer. We were at the time getting close to making a formal decision to the commission in terms of how we wanted to have the job qualifications for the park ranger to make the recommendation ultimately to council. So we probably want to pick up on that discussion so we can start to make that final before, final budget comes in, because obviously if we're recommending a staffing position, we want to make sure that that's before, final budget.
Is that where we're at?
Ultimately, that's the goal, certainly. Just because of the timing, we will miss this year's cycle.
Right.
But certainly, we will obviously consider your recommendation, make sure it's before the council at the proper time to have that consideration.
I have a question, Kelly, and maybe we could just pick up on this really briefly. But at the beginning of when that subcommittee was created, and I haven't looked at obviously like any budget stuff, and I know most municipalities are in budget season right now before July 1. But one of the things that I wanted to just kind of get refreshed was the position of a park ranger already in the budget, or are we making a budget recommendation of that? Because I thought what we were doing specifically was working out the duties and seeing if there was enforcement abilities with the park ranger position. But I can't remember if it was already funded or was on the table.
It is not funded,
Okay.
and there is no existing park ranger position within the city. So the recommendation really was, we believe the city should have a park ranger for these reasons.
Right.
And we believe it should have, X, Y, and Z responsibilities, which could be enforcement capabilities, all of that, or
Right.
citation abilities, excuse me. From there, if it's approved, then our human resources department, along with probably likely our team and police department, would then craft the formal job description.
Right. So I think what we probably should do as a subcommittee is really iron out the remaining, if there's either key personnel we want to speak to still, because I think I can't remember if we had spoken to police at that point or if we have subsequently from earlier in the year, but I believe there was maybe 2 or 3 other departments we wanted to talk to. to get their feedback from. I was a part of the community services call, I remember, but I think, really the objective of the subcommittee is to make a recommendation on the type of park ranger position, or if we want to recommend, staffing for a park ranger position at all at this point, right? So we'll probably pick up on that, but again, that was where I left off at, so I'm not quite sure if there was anything subsequent to that.
Yeah, I missed last meeting as well, and I think, and I need a refresher on where we're at with it. I do, there was one thing that I wanted to discuss, and I don't think we've been able to discuss it yet, but we have Wilderness Park, which is a unique park inside of Redondo Beach, and there was some concern that the park itself is just a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just, like we can't have someone riding a bike through it. We have animals in there, so we need some eyes on it in a way that some of our other park spaces don't. And so I really want to make sure, because that was part of why we brought this topic up as well. There was some community members that said it might be nice to have a park ranger in there. So I just want to make sure that we also get a chance to discuss that, because I haven't participated in a couple of the emails going through or the meetings.
So can we do this, Kelly? Is it possible if we can get a subcommittee meeting on the books, like we'll kind of coordinate, and then from there, we should probably pick up on who we want, what teams within the city we want to still reach out to. And then ultimately we can go from there to see how long it'll take us to make a formal recommendation or no recommendation at that point.
The other thing is, I don't think we ever reached out to any other cities. So we were supposed to do a little bit of research on the side and speak to, right? Or did we talk to them?
Perhaps we reach out to the need of doing so at our next subcommittee meeting, because I think right now we're still haven't fully spoken to everybody within the city. So again, we had a community services department call, and they, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to misspeak for them, but they were vehemently saying, oh, we need enforcement for, any potential park ranger position. So I think probably picking up with code enforcement if we didn't have code enforcement, if we didn't speak to them already. But I think what we really need to do is coordinate a subcommittee meeting for it, and then go from there to see what we want to continue to, have outreach for, or if we want to just keep it within the city's departments at this point. But I do think we should probably schedule a subcommittee meeting on it.
Yeah, so I know that there's been a lot of issues with email access, so I apologize if the messages aren't actually getting to everyone, and we'll work through it, I promise. Just let me know. But yes, I completely agree. I was trying to coordinate a meeting with the subcommittee, really as a check-in, because it has been a while. I believe it was for next week or the week after. In that kind of email outreach, I kind of outlined a few questions that we would likely ask other cities. So hopefully we can kind of build upon that list and make sure that the subcommittee makes or agrees that that's kind of the good standard list. Obviously, we can disperse and decide who's going to call what city just to get some information. And then our path forward, who else do we need to meet with? So yes, I completely agree. So I will recirculate that last communication with you all tomorrow morning, and that way we can get something scheduled and on the books for sure, because there's still some work to do, and we've made some headway, so I just want to keep that momentum going. Yeah.
I have a question, and I don't know if you saw my email.
I did.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what emails went through, which ones did. It's where I prefer to exit the park ranger subcommittee so I can focus solely on the pickleball subcommittee. And I don't know if there's somebody else that wants to take my place, or if you need to have 3, or if 2 would be just fine.
We don't need to have 3. 2 is just fine. So if none of the other commissioners would like to volunteer for that, then we can continue as normal with just the 2 remaining.
Are you guys okay with that?
I'm fine
We'll
with
miss
it.
you.
I have a question about Wilderness Park. As a kid, I remember there being somebody there all the time, like in that building working. Is that no longer the case? I just haven't been up there.
So Kelly would know better than me, but for instance, I was there yesterday or the day before, and there was a sign on the door. So I don't think that you guys have it fully staffed all the time.
I'm actually going
Oh,
to defer to
sorry,
Michelle.
Michelle.
She handles all the staffing there, so I don't want to misspeak.
So we do regularly staff. We have a regular staff schedule, but if we have 2 people that call out sick, we might send someone to go open it. That very rarely happens. For the most part, we have someone from open to close. There might be a sign there if they're on their lunch break because we don't have someone to dismiss them during that time.
Okay, yeah, I think I went around 12 and there was a sign that says if you need anything, call Alta Vista.
That sounds about right.
Okay. And I think that to your other question, I think there was we were talking, well, South Bay Parkland Conservancy mostly was talking about that there just seems to be a need for someone who's like more of a steward of the park and is there to talk about, maybe some of the native plants, the rules, kind of remind people about like not getting in the water, not touching the animals, being respectful, and then maybe like a little bit of an education type, Yeah.
I'd just be curious about the role of that person that is there and staffing it, because I feel like when we were kids, that's what they did. They chased us out of there plenty of times. So,
Yeah, I think that it varies also. Like, I think some of the staff is a lot more interested in like some of the work the restoration work. And so they take it upon themselves to like kind of
Do extra.
speak about it. Yeah, but it's not required. Yeah, right?
It's not required. The office has discussed with South Bay Parkland Conservancy having some kind of like Q&A kind of form, training the staff a little bit more, but really the staff that is scheduled there, they're rec leaders, minimum wage employees that in their job description are there to open the park, make sure if something happens, they can report it to the appropriate, through the appropriate channels, taking care of reservations, checking in on people that have reservations at certain tables, and doing walkthroughs through the park. Not really there to educate the public, but that's a conversation that we've lightly started with South Bay Parkland Conservancy just so that we can have some more educational information at the park.
so almost like a docent type opportunity.
Potentially, right? I don't know if South Bay Parkland Conservancy has a volunteer program that they'd like to send volunteers over to us on a regular basis, but something that's an option as well.
Yeah, and I think that we didn't want to like ask the city to provide someone, there was no expectation there. So I think that's why we started talking about the park ranger position because, and I could get a longer list and like, just exactly what some of those volunteers from South Bay Parkland Conservancy have seen going on. I know there's some people riding bikes and things like that. And so anyway, that's why we started the conversation to see if perhaps we could, propose some money from the budget to have that kind of position there.
So as far as rule enforcement, we do have the staff member for that. However, they can't be, it's such a large park. There's no way to truly enforce all corners of it. But we definitely catch a lot of people doing things they're not supposed to be doing, and we speak to them. And, sometimes I have to jump on phone calls with those people. So those interactions are definitely occurring.
And I think we are also thinking like there's other cities with, preserves of some sort, and they usually have like a specific type of city employee there or someone that's more specific to doing that work as opposed to, like a rotating recreation staff. So we don't have to take any more time for this, but we can discuss it a little bit more in our subcommittee. And I almost forgot is there any updates from the volunteer?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So our goal is to have action items complete every month. So we're happy to see our recipient come in this month. The other one will be here next month. That's 2. We have 10 more to go. This year is my goal. My goal this month was to have 2 applications in. I completed one 2 days ago and sent it to Kelly. So we've got, I'll give you a heads up who it is because everyone in the city knows Lila Omura is officially an employee. This is the volunteer and employee recognition program. She has been with the city for 2 years as a homeless navigator. Is that the right word? It's
I believe it is, yes. Homeless
her
navigator.
goal, her job, paid position is to bring people off the streets and get them into rehab and then housing simultaneously or right. So rehab detox is the primary goal before housing, which is the way it should be. She worked, I think it was volunteered with Harbor Interfaith in 2018 through 22. Then she was hired. I texted her and called her this week. She has been responsible for getting 200 people off the streets since 2018. If you know her, I'll spell her name for the people at home playing the game. Lilaomura. Go to her Facebook page. She will enlighten you on what she does and what things she faces. She gets up at 5 a.m, goes out at 6 o'clock, meets the people that she knows where they are. She has her targets. She does. And she encourages them dozens of times to come with her. And after a while, she breaks them down with her kindness. And there are stories on the Facebook page which you'll laugh and you'll cry because she succeeds after a year of trying. And it's amazing. So go to her Facebook page. But I wrote up an application for her. She's a shoo-in. And thank God for her.
Yeah.
And I've worked with her personally on some mentoring stuff. And also, we're trying to approach sports organizations and library right now. I've failed to get an application from the library. I'm working on it. And Kelly's working on some sports, I believe. So we'll hopefully have applications in soon.
Yeah.
Now, do we get those in? Or I guess the subcommittee would approve the application and they would just have a review, right?
Correct. So,
Okay.
so what would happen is typically, actually, the way that the program is written is we would do awards biannually, but
Yeah.
we can do it as we receive them if you would like. But what I would do is once I receive the applications, I would send it to the subcommittee. You all would review it. Let me know if you would recommend for the commission to consider them for approval. And then if so, we would then agendize it at a future meeting.
Yeah, I like to try to do it bi-monthly, which is 6 times a year. That's just good for my workload, and it's difficult to find people to get applications as I've seen. So hopefully we'll piecemeal them in over the next 6 months. That's it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I was able to connect with Sunset Little League too.
Oh, apologize. Go ahead.
So they were excited about nominating some folks. So,
Who is it?
Sunset, the softball, baseball league up here.
Perfect.
in Alta
Oh, yeah.
Vista, so.
Yeah.
I know, I was just thinking about the commissioner for the softball league. Nominate
Oh, yeah.
him.
Anybody,
He's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all do a lot.
do you guys have
Do
the
a lot.
applications?
I don't know if I have one.
I can email them out to
Is
you
it
all.
okay if they just send it out to people?
Of course, anyone
Okay,
can share
because
it, yeah.
We'll just bring them in because
I-
we don't have a backlog now.
I also went ahead and posted it in the Redondo Beach Residents Facebook group.
Perfect.
And there was a lot of interest from folks
Yeah.
there as well, so.
Yeah, I think the library, he has people in mind. He hasn't gotten to it yet, which is fine. So I think we're on our way. We have to just keep on plugging. But thank you, guys.
And can we nominate someone? Like,
Yes,
on the
absolutely.
commission? Okay.
I did. I wrote up Lila's.
Oh, okay.
I know her pretty well, so, yeah. Please do. You could write up and Kelly, by the way, that form is pretty funky, right?
I haven't heard that. We made it fillable. Is the fillable
It
application?
changes the font size. Is there a way to not have it auto shrink?
I haven't heard of any. I'll check into it because I
Yeah.
hadn't heard that there was
Try
issues with
using
it.
it.
Okay.
It's rather funky. It's like 1995 software, by the way. Anyway,
Wow.
it's old.
Can you still read it?
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you see what Gil submitted, it's got different size fonts because it
Yeah.
compresses and you got to grab a copy and paste to the next line until you get it all even. It's mind blowing. But thank you.
Okay, great. So on to J3, which is the director's report.
Okay, so I do have quite a few updates for you all, so if you can just bear with me and let me know if you have any questions as I go through. Wanted to inform you that our summer class activity newsletter will be released tomorrow. Resident registration will open Monday, May 20th. Just want to clarify that this is for our classes and activities. Our summer camp newsletter has been out for a while, and that was the one that we were really, all the newsletters we were really trying to get on a much earlier schedule, but the camp one we were particularly interested. So that one has been out for quite some time. Good segue into our summer camps. All of our summer camps begin the week of June 10th. Something to note that this year, because of the way that the school's calendar fell for summer break, we are going to offer 10 weeks of summer camp for select activities. And registration is currently open. And as I stated, the newsletter is online and has been released. So anyone who needs some summer camp activities for their children, please have them check that out. For Wilderness and Alta Vista, just a few quick updates. As some of you may have heard, both facilities at both locations were closed down for a little bit of time. We had full roofs installed on both of them. So some good facility improvements there, as well as some interior improvements, different at each location. But both facilities are now fully open. At Wilderness Park, specifically, some other improvements to note that we did have a water filling station was installed at the Gumwood campsite, so super excited for that. And then some upcoming events at Wilderness Park. We have our family camp night is scheduled for June 22nd overnight through the 23rd. We do have one family slot left for that, so if you are interested, please register for that online. And then we do have story time in the park, which is scheduled for this upcoming Sunday, May 12th, from 1 o'clock to 1:45. And that's for all ages. Moving on to after-school registration. That took place for the next school year's program. So for the program that starts in August or September with the new school year, the registration for that program was on April 16th at noon. Happy to say that it went pretty flawlessly. Of course, not everyone was able to get into the program, but we do have wait lists that still have spots available on the wait list. So anyone who is still interested in the program, or obviously who weren't able to get a spot at the moment of registration, were automatically added to our wait list. Because we did have all 8 sites fill to capacity pretty quickly. In order to try to continue to accommodate the increased number of children that need care and after school, we are doing ongoing and regular interviews to find some qualified employees to fill those gaps so that we can add more children from the wait list. So we are working on that. We know that that's a huge goal, not only of the residents for that program to be a little bit larger, but also internally for our team to be able to accommodate more families. Moving on to Seaside Lagoon, happy to report that the lagoon will open for the season starting Saturday, May 25th. On that date, it will be open from 10 a.m. to 5:45 p.m. So we're almost there for our big summer season there. Just of note, it will be closed on Tuesday, May 28th and Wednesday, May 29th, but then it'll be regular schedule from that point on. A few things to note with our senior and family services programs. We do have an upcoming senior dance that is scheduled on Thursday, June 20th from 4:30 to 7:30, and that will take place at Veterans Senior Center. And this is in collaboration with the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce. So we're really happy with that partnership and are excited for this event. We haven't had one for several years, an event like this for the seniors, so really excited to see that come to fruition. We do have an upcoming Memorial Day ceremony, which is our annual event. That will be scheduled on Monday, May 27th at 1 p.m. It will take place at the Veterans Memorial at Veterans Park. That is done through a partnership with the Veterans Memorial Task Force, the Redondo Beach Elks Lodge number 1378, and as well as city staff put that event on together. moving on to our summer hiring, as I've stated at all of our directors' reports in the past few meetings, just want to continue to reiterate that we are continuing to accept applications for all of our part-time positions, for any camp position, Seaside Lagoon, lifeguards, even after school after school program in the fall. Anyone that's interested in any of these activities, please feel free to direct them to the city website and complete a city application, and then we can get them scheduled for an interview. And then the last item, I wanted to just give you all just a general overview of some big upcoming discussion items, just so you know that none have kind of fallen off the radar, as well as so you're aware of what some agendas will include coming up. As I've stated in the past, we are still planning to bring the Seaside Lagoon redesign to you all soon. We're just waiting on a few kind of benchmarks to be met with the consultant team that's working on that. So that's definitely will be scheduled and will be on an upcoming agenda. And then the other big item, I don't know if any of you guys were aware, at last night's city council meeting, they did hold a discussion item to consolidate a number of the city's commissions. And in doing so, one of the motion that would affect this commission was to consider the consolidation of this commission with the Library, Preservation, and Historical Commissions. So the city is going to work on what exactly that will look like, what the tasks and assignments will be, what the purview of that commission will be, and then ultimately what it will look like. A lot of these changes will not take place until I believe it will be sometime around October, maybe right after that, because that's when the current terms expire. So anyone that's terming out obviously will not be able to reapply. So there will be automatically some vacancies. So along with that topic, just know we will be bringing, likely at our next meeting, an opportunity for you all to consider that consolidation and to provide input on kind of the priorities of that, what that commission would look like, and really just the functionality of it. And we'll, of course, provide you with information on what currently each commission is tasked with. And so we can maybe see if we can just provide some input from the council on what you all believe as Parks and Rec subject matter experts, how that could complement the other commissions that we will be consolidated with in the future. So,
Can I ask the question?
sure.
Do those commissions also, does community services, are you guys their staff liaison or whatever you?
Or just the historical commission. That's the only one that the preservation is currently staffed by the community development department, and the library, obviously, by our library team.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I think once we're able to kind of get some of that data and information onto a report, allow you all to kind of consider it. I wanted to just mention it this evening so you can kind of start to think about it. And that way, come the next meeting, when you have the information in front of you, hopefully it'll be a little bit more of a informed discussion. So
So the city council voted, so it's happening? Or they just discussed?
they did approve the motion to move in this direction, but this itself has not been 100% formalized. This was included in the motion, but there's still several steps in order to make it 100% formal. So there's still time to make adjustments, which is why they want to come to each commission that would be affected and get input from you all, so that that final product and that final merge of commissions makes the most sense.
So I'm just trying to understand a little bit better. So when they're asking for input, I mean, it's only, there's only like a certain number of seats. So when you're saying they're looking for input on what exactly?
Well, and so that's what we'll outline that in the admin report. Input on what are the tasks. The Parks and Rec Commission is very narrowly focused on a list of items that really is under your purview. The Historical Commission has its own set. And so it's really what we're going to do is outline all of those for you so that you can see, is there crossover? Does that make sense? Is there an opportunity for this commission to be more educated in areas of historical or preservation, for that matter? it's really an opportunity for you all to just kind of see how this combination of commissions can potentially work based on the subject matter and focus of each commission, as well as just kind of the functionality of it. So, so we will certainly outline that in the admin report. And if you have more questions on it, we can certainly talk offline, because I don't want to, I wasn't intending to make anyone too nervous about it. I know it's a bit of a I don't want to say shock, but I think it was a bit, the combination of the commissions, I could tell, is kind of,
Yeah, I
There's a
guess
bit
I
of
wish
recoil
I
there.
wish I would have known. I mean, it's on me. I should have been looking at the agendas, but I would have, given input if I knew that was coming down the pike. It's not about me at all. It's really about how many people the Recreation Department, the Recreation and Parks Department touches in the city, and I think it's many. And so I think it feels appropriate to have a standalone commission, regardless if I'm on it or not, because you want to have a varied group of people that are all really invested in the parks and the programs. I mean, you know how many kids play on our fields. Like, it's really important that, the work that Commissioner McCauley's doing in these subcommittees and stuff. And so I'm thinking about the Historical Commission, and not to, their work is also very important, but it feels as though maybe the community that the Historical Commission reaches is much smaller. And so I'm actually like kind of confused how one commission is going to serve the needs of our city.
well, and
Longer meeting.
Well, and that's where, as we lay it out in the admin report, I want to be careful too, because this is not agendized. I don't want to get too much of a discussion. But we will lay it out in the admin report so that you can, like I said, see what everyone is tasked with currently. And then, you can provide that's the input that the city council is looking for, especially as it relates to parks and recreation and how it can be combined with some of these other topics. So we can, if you have any other questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer those offline, but we'll have a lot of that information for you in the admin report.
Okay.
Kelly, can I ask one question on that?
Sure.
Is there any motivation or rationale that you can sum up real fast? Is it just financial? They just want to save money by doing it?
There was a number of reasons that the mayor outlined in the presentation. Obviously, there's a lot of staff time associated with each and every commission, not only from the liaison, but also from the IT department, from down to even city manager, depending on the commissions. And there's the staff time and resources, which obviously goes to the financial. There's also a lot of vacancies currently on some commissions. There's some that sometimes don't even have a quorum just because of the vacancies. So there's a number of reasons. It's purely not financial. There's a multitude of reasons for this discussion.
I should probably ask this offline. It's fine.
Okay.
I got a comment. I think that combination of library and Recs and Parks is a win-win. We could clear out those pesky books and put in pickleball courts.
You're going to get so many
Get a motion on that?
emails.
All right, am I done?
That's not
Thank you for your
agendized,
time.
luckily, tonight.
I'll be here all week. I'll be here all week.
Okay.
But that concludes my director's report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And on to K, which is member items and referrals to staff.
I have none.
Just a follow-up for the speed control measures at Alta Vista Park. We haven't really heard
Yeah.
anything.
I can follow up with Public Works because I know they had said they were going to be working on it, but I haven't heard
Because it was-
since. So I'll follow up with them.
Yeah, last it was, if I recall correctly, something about creating a bulb where they bring the pavement and make it a little bit closer by the crosswalk there, or speed humps. So,
Sure. I'll reach out and get an update.
Anyone else? I have one thing. I was hoping that, okay, I guess I have a question. So the bathrooms at Alta Vista, the ones that are on the east side, our Public Works, they service those bathrooms, or who does?
Our Public Works team.
Yeah. And so if they're out of like toilet paper or anything, they're the ones that restock it? Or is it?
It's part of our parks team.
Okay.
So yes, you can call the Public Works line, or you can even just call the Community Services line. If it's during the weekend, you might just, the easier route might be just calling non-emergency PD, and they have the number to call the Public Works on call or summer or weekend staff.
Okay. I was wondering if it's at all possible to get a little more attention to those bathrooms on the weekends. They're heavily used, and I think, and there's only 2 stalls in like the ladies' restroom. I don't know about the men's, but there's a lot of families that go in there, and I think they could just use like a little bit more attention. And we're nearing the end of baseball, but soccer is going to pick back up, and there's a lot of people. Okay. Anything else? Okay. If that's it, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Okay, great, thank you.
The traffic issue.